the first menu you did?
What hacker? First proper one.
Yeah.
And it was a lovely project to work on. It was our first project when we worked with those people who passed the pub test.
Yeah.
And Tommy was obsessed with the idea of everybody leaving the restaurant happier than when they walked in. And they couldn't figure out why it was that 95% of their customers were super happy, but 5% of them weren't. And the research piece helped us figure out that it was the people who shared food and had a little bit of everything that were the happiest.
Welcome to Captive Conversations, brought to you by Captive Wi-Fi. I'm your host, Adam Foreman. This podcast brings you the best stories from suppliers, marketers, and operators from our beloved hospitality sector. Now, let's get on with the show. Hello, everyone. Episode 59. I can't believe I'm nearly at 60. I'm doing 60 tomorrow, which is even more exciting. We have Annica from Two Forks. Thank you for coming. I've been to one of your masterclasses as well, which was awesome. And I recently used one of your new recent menus as well at the Real Creek, which is really exciting. So thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
No, yeah, this is going to be really interesting because you're sort of like the hidden voice of menus, like or as you call yourself, a menu geek. I think Queen of Menus is also quite a nice title.
I'll take it.
Yeah. That's a good one. I think. But thank you for coming. We're going to dive right in. So that the first will be the two questions from the last guest, which is Fee Selick from Square. And her question was, where do you think AI is going to be best applied to hospitality now and in the future?
Well, I'm hoping what operators will do is use AI to get to know their customers better and provide better experiences for them. There's a whole lot of time saving that can be done through AI. And I'm hoping that the time saved will be reinvested into the hospitality part of the experience. Yeah. And so even something as simple as never again doing multiple choice annual customer surveys, but instead actually having open text boxes that you can actually hear from customers in their own words what they think and feel about restaurants and menus and all of that stuff. Previously, I've always done it, and it's hard work because you have to go through all of that manually. Now you don't have to anymore, so there's no excuse.
And the AI can pick the sweet one out of everything, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm hoping it's the death to the multiple choice survey and the beginning of a new era of super warm, personalized hospitality.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was talking to an operator the other day, and they were like, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice if on the credit card machine it had everything integrated from." Like all the order pad from like Lightspeed and Toast and all of them had all the information about the customer. So when the server opens it up, all the infos, they know who everyone is, and that whole maitre d' piece is back. So I think I'm really excited for what's to come. It's going to be very interesting. But you're right. I think if they can save time other places, they can focus more time on that experience. Experiential. Yeah, perfect. I like that. And the second question is, because she's a cheese freak. That doesn't sound too popular. Sorry, she loves a bit of cheese. What's your favorite cheese?
Well, as you sent me that question, I was literally just tucking into a baby bell because I'd been to play pickleball, and it's an easy snack that I keep in my pickleball bag. But my favorite cheese, I don't know if you could pick one. You need a cheese board, right?
I agree.
So
100%.
there would need to be a blue, like a Stilton, or maybe a really creamy Gorgonzola, and then something hard, maybe like a Manchego or a Comte. And I love those French, I think they're called Savarin. They're like white blocks that are super gooey and creamy on the inside.
Yeah. And they come in there like they go hard. Yeah, outer casing's always just like bamboo-y sort of hard casing. Yeah. My father-in-law, whenever they always had one open to dip into. So I've had fun with those. My nose doesn't like the cheese, unfortunately, but so I'm definitely a cheese fan. Okay, standard questions. The first one is best hospitality experience.
Well, having just been working with the Real Greek for the past year, we've done a lot of trips to Greece, and I reckon the Greek hospitality is pretty unbeatable in terms of an overall experience that you find anywhere in Greece, from a tiny neighborhood ouzo bar through to a formal restaurant. They all have that same natural approach to service.
Yeah.
In Greece, they call it philoxenia, which means literally stranger love. It's a love of strangers. And it's all about welcoming people in, getting to know them. And they're always popping up with a little bit of, oh, try some of this. And have you had the ouzo? And they're genuinely, you could feel that they're genuinely interested in giving you the best time. So I think the best hospitality experience
So
is
far,
just
until the next brand takes you out. So
no, well, I've worked with a lot of lovely brands.
yes,
And I've traveled a lot and eaten in lots of different areas of the world. But I think for true
the
hospitality,
topped it off.
Greece wins.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Best hospitality tech.
That's a tricky one.
Not upsetting one.
Yes, well, that's it. I have so many friends in the industry.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, All Gravy, which have built the new messaging app that we use at Pizza Pilgrims, have completely blown it out of the water. It's just so good. We were quite happy using Workplace, which was the Facebook one.
Yes.
And we only really
You had
changed
no choice,
because
right?
we had to. And I know the people team at Pizza Pilgrims have put a lot of effort into what they wanted to go into that app. But what the guys at All Gravy have done is just completely taken all of the guidelines and then impressed us further. It's such an
And it
amazing.
continually changing, right? As well.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's got everything. It's got all the specs for all the drinks and all the food. It's got our AI team member Joshua, who you can ask any
I love
question.
the name. I love it.
And it's got team chats, and you can organize everyone in different groups, or you can message anyone in the company, and then different channels for different interests. And the teams are really using it, which I think is that's the verdict right there, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think you benefit slightly because the Pizza Pilgrims way is a bit different to the other brands. Now, you were just going to Coke Brasserie, for example, or I don't know, another bigger brand that wasn't so community based. You guys have like, I mean, Ruth came on and she's amazing, like she's a beast, and she's like, with your academy, and she was like, we know within a couple of days whether you're part of the team. Everyone gels well and so on. You can sort of tell like either it's for you or not for you.
Yeah.
Which I find amazing, and so I think you're not lucky, but it's amazing the team that you have in there too, and that's probably why you had such a fast adoption, because it was built around that community.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing. And also get everyone off WhatsApp, which is probably the other worst part of it as well, because no compliance, everything gets lost, weird conversations out X, Y, and Z. So I think I think their product is really good. I actually need to get them on to have a chat about it. I think we've been speaking to them already, but and we've given them some nice referrals as well. It's a great tool. It's a great tool.
It's a really great tool.
Yeah.
And it's fair. Pizza Pilgrims is a very special business. So,
Yeah.
so maybe it wouldn't be quite the same for everyone else. But I think the way that they built it, so it feels a very social media kind of environment, I feel like it's also a safe place that's super easy to understand and engage with.
I love the bits with the whole like, I've got extra time, or what shift is this, and those sort of general questions.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone else the other day. He said that they're like people team have something like 3,000 emails a week, like not a week, like a month to have to reply to. It's like this
The same answer.
Yeah, and all the same stuff, same questions, and they're just like dying.
Yeah.
They're dying and they don't have anything. So it's an interesting tool, and if you can save time with that. Again, it's like same the other way around with the AI stuff, right? If you can save time on one side, you can make your other side better.
Yeah, absolutely. The only people who haven't adopted All Gravy is the board.
Yeah.
We still have a WhatsApp group for the board.
So time to make a decision.
Make a change.
Yeah, and there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so we're gonna go back. My AI deep research did after this. Actually, I will send you the deep dive into the new, because it did a full deep dive on your whole career, which is really interesting. So I did one when we had Travis from Travis Fish, and I gave him the whole deep dive, and he's like, "I'll take that quote." I didn't even say it, but I'll take that quote and then use it to post. So I'll send that to you afterwards. But let's start. I mean, obviously, the basics of here was like your career began in food journalism and evolved into leading a hospitality marketing agency. But let's go. I like going further back. The question I sort of like asking really is, did you work in hospital at all, like early doors?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I ran an ice cream shop for
Oh, awesome.
several summers I started when I was 13 and
Yeah.
I did that for 3 years.
Yeah.
It was just a local ice cream parlor attached to the local supermarket, and I got to choose which flavors to buy in. That's
Awesome.
best job in the world.
Yeah.
I got to eat free ice cream as much as I wanted, and I had a discount for my friends, so
Yeah.
everyone hung out there. It was great.
Amazing. That's
Um,
amazing. And then after that, did you also like on the side work in hospital, or was it just straight to into academia and then?
Well, I actually wanted to be a chef. It's all I ever dreamt of. And my parents wanted me to get a proper education first. So I ended up thinking, okay, if I can't cook the food, I
Mm.
want to write about food. So even when it came to choosing my university degree, I decided to go for journalism and psychology. I've
Yeah.
always been fascinated with people and what makes them do certain things. And I studied that at City University in London. And the journalism department there is very practical. So you have to do a certain amount of work experience before you can graduate. So at the time, everybody else was falling over themselves for a placement at Time Out or The Guardian, or
Yeah.
even The Big Issue was really popular. And I thought, what is the leading restaurant guide that I can work at? And I discovered Square Meal and I rang them up. Turned out they were 5 minutes from my flat.
Oh, winner.
And I wandered down there and spoke to Mark, the publisher, and we ended up having a 3-hour conversation about restaurants and food.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I was sort of like, "Oh, do I have a job then?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, start tomorrow." So I actually worked at Square Meal 2 days a week throughout my entire
Wow.
university
Oh my God, that's like
degree.
awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And then I stayed there for 16 years.
Yeah. Wow. That's a pedigree of time.
Yeah, and meanwhile, my brother was allowed to go to chef school, and he started a hospitality business and has actually just recently sold that. He had 4 restaurants and 2 hotels
Wow.
and, makes or made way more money
So
than
they
I
saw you
ever will,
working
I
for
think.
food for food and him working with food.
Yeah. It all comes back to my grandfather was in Sweden, we call it a livsnjutare, which
Yeah.
is someone who just loves all the good things in life.
Yeah.
He was a mega foodie, he was a fisherman and a forager, and from a really early age, he was always taking us out and finding the best mushroom spots and where we could find seasonal berries,
Yeah.
and we would take it back and cook with in my nan's kitchen,
Yeah.
and I blame him for everything.
Yeah. Well,
And thank him for everything.
yeah. Well, keeps your mind going. It's a
Yeah.
inquisitive mind. That's amazing. So, 16 years at Square Meal.
Yeah.
Wow, that's I mean, you must have seen so much changing at that time.
Yeah. Well, I started just at the beginning of what we now know as the UK restaurant revolution
Yeah.
of the gastropubs.
Yeah.
It was a really, really exciting time.
So, like me, you remember the top tables when they used to fax the restaurant, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you sit there and the little fax would come out, and then you had to call them and say, "No, I can't have that table."
yeah,
Back in the day of all the old school stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it was so different.
It was so
It
different.
was so different, but the explosion was mental. Like,
Yeah,
it really was. Yeah. So you started in a great time.
yeah. Perfect time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Square Mill, like, obviously over the years have completely changed, right?
Mm.
I because it had like a lot of event focused staff. Was that always there? Because
So I was always there. So Square Meal came from Square Mile. It
yeah.
started in the city. It was the very first edition of Square Meal was a guide to where to eat out in the city.
Oh, really?
And it was Mark and Simon, the founders, met at Oxford, and they always wanted to run their own business. And I think I could be wrong, but I think their very first business was a cleaning business, and they did office cleaning.
Yeah.
Not themselves, but
Yeah.
I think they organized it. And then they ended up delivering Christmas trees to people's offices
Yeah.
because they're always seeing new opportunities. And then the following Christmas, they thought, oh, we should give people a gift of some sort. And
Yeah.
they did a little pamphlet called Where to Eat in the City, and people just loved it.
Yeah.
So they thought, no, that could be
That's
something in here. And
amazing.
yeah, and then they created the restaurant guide. And when I started, we had 2 printed guides. There was the printed guide for the City of London,
Mhm.
and then there was the printed guide for London.
Yeah.
And that's all we produced.
Wow.
Throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
And we divided among the journalists. We divided London into areas.
Yeah.
And I started. Where was my first area? My first area was Westminster, Victoria and Westminster, and you have to walk every single street
Yeah.
to see if there's something new, because
Yeah.
there weren't really
No.
restaurant PR was in its infancy.
Yes.
And it was only really being used by the Mayfair restaurants. So for the neighborhoods, we had to walk up and down and collect menus and just see what was new and what had opened. And then we had in Square Meal has always been free subscription, and in the guides themselves, there have always been these little reply cards to say, tell us about your 3 favorite restaurants. And people used to handwrite these and attach their business card in order to get a free guide the next year.
Wow.
And so as a section editor, you had to go through all the handwritten recommendations and then go and check all of those out.
Yeah.
So I spent most of my summers just walking the streets of London,
That's awesome.
collecting menus, popping in, chatting to restaurant operators.
Not a dream job then, really. No.
Oh, it was just terrible.
Yeah.
But actually, the reason why I ended up leaving, which it was always my dream job, and I had the best years of my life, amazing colleagues, amazing meals, great connections. It was really when everything started to change because of the internet.
Yeah.
So we went from having all of this time to produce a guidebook that we were really proud of to having to produce that same amount. And then we had printed magazines, and then we had weekly newsletters, and then it started becoming daily newsletters. And it was just a churn machine. And then you find yourself just regurgitating press releases and not actually being out
Yeah.
eating the
Well,
food.
it was more the instant life, the instant world. It was more instant, right? Everything had to be, you had to have it now.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you didn't have it now, you were out.
Yeah. And what I've always loved is the research and the visiting, getting to know operators.
What's that community? Is the community marketing piece, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought I need to jump fence. I need to go and work with the restaurants rather than write.
So what was the route after Square Meal?
So it was a colleague of mine, Anna, and I, we were both working at Square Meal. We decided to try and do something different. And when we first launched Two Forks, we called it Two Forks because there's 2 of us and we always have 2 forks in every plate because we're greedy like that. It was essentially a mystery dining company.
Yeah.
So we thought, we're the restaurant reviewers, hire us to review you, but not publish it. We'll give you, and we produced this product that we call the restaurant MOT, and we had a traffic light system, and it was reviewing the full customer experience from pre-booking through the booking, arriving at the restaurant, the exterior, and then the experience itself, and then the follow-up, or often the lack thereof. And we would write these big reports. And a lot of the time when we highlighted the lack of, or the shortfallings in the website, or the emails that could be better, or the lack of follow-up, our clients would say, but you're writers, why don't you fix that for us?
Interesting.
And it was actually in the process of Googling best practice for websites that I came across this term called copywriting that I hadn't even heard of before.
Yeah.
And realized that my psychology degree and my writing skills could kind of combine into this magical world where you use words to drive people to do certain things. And then I fell into that hole completely.
Yeah. That rabbit hole.
And just reignited my whole sort of passion for behavioral psychology and why do people act in certain ways. And particularly there's one writer called Robert Cialdini who writes about the 7 levers of influence and things that you can do to get people to do what you want, essentially. And I just became obsessed with that and decided to translate his readings into the hospitality setting. And that's where we started shifting more towards working with menus, because menus is essentially the most important sales document in a restaurant business. And so that was the easiest place to apply those changes and see the results really quickly. Also, we discovered as sort of mystery diners that the people who needed our help the most were possibly not the restaurants that we wanted to eat in repeatedly. So we tired of that side of the business quite quickly and thought, actually, let's work with really good restaurants on their menus instead. So
you did you start just doing the general marketing piece, the copywriting piece, and so on, and then helping those brands to make things better,
yeah,
and then realizing actually there's a different route where they need help.
Definitely. We started out doing all sorts of writing to our existing
Yeah.
clients. So we dabbled with websites and we did a lot of newsletter stuff and optimizing email journeys and that kind of thing. But what we've ended up doing is funneling it down into how do we want to spend our day.
Yeah.
So I think
It's nice.
it's really
It's interesting.
important.
You did pretty well, to be honest with you, to be able to do that. To be honest with you, to funnel rather than the full service agencies that are out there. You focusing on what shines, right?
Yeah. So my number one passion in life, I've been obsessed with menus since I was a
You've been
child.
collecting them at frickin' Square Mill for
Yeah.
how many? You walk around the whole of frickin' Westminster and Victoria for how long?
Oh, that was my very first project. I had Mayfair at one point. That was
Yeah.
a good one. I had Notting Hill for many years. I had City West, we called it, which
Yeah.
was Clerkenwell when that was all
I was Booham.
coming alive. I had some really great Soho I did for a while. So yeah, I've menus from all over London in different eras, which is amazing. But so menus is our number one service. It's
Yeah.
what I love to do. I can talk about menus all day, every day. But related to menus, we developed a service where we help people with their tone of voice and their brand messaging because that feeds so well into the menu. And then our third service is more to do with mapping out your full customer journey and make sure that those brand messages and your voice is applied everywhere so that you have a consistent customer experience.
So is that from before, in, and after as
Yeah,
well? So
all of
the
that,
whole
all of
customer
that.
experience.
So basically, I like to get a big roll of brown paper out
Yeah.
and just fill it with post-its of, okay, so when you're doing this, you're booking online or you're ringing to book, what happens? How can we surprise and delight? What
Yeah.
can we do? Which messages can we feed in? And then you end up with this big, long map of
Yeah.
your new customer journey.
That's amazing. It's hard as well. Like have you found like I think previously there was more time, and probably more people. How are you finding it now with less people and less time? Are they giving you more of a rein to just go, or just show me that, show them that layout, or how have you felt recently? Like, because we see lots, right? We speak to loads. There is a challenge of resource out there. Even the bigger brands, the smaller brands. I mean, we've seen some giant brands, change their names and move about. Everyone's moving about. How you've seen that?
Well, I always insist on collaboration.
Yes.
So they don't have a choice. They have to give me the time.
Yeah.
We made a New Year's resolution. I think it's about 13 years ago now. We said, Anna and I said to each other, we will only work with people we genuinely like, the
Yeah.
kind of people we would go to the pub with. So we now, as our intake process, we have a kind of pub test.
Oh, I love that.
We do a sort of Zoom call before we do anything else, just to see if we click with people. And we've been really strict on that. We've turned away some pretty impressive businesses because it didn't feel right. And we've had months when we haven't been able to pay ourselves because we've really, really stuck with it.
Yeah. Well, I guess the thing is, if you don't do that, there's going to be a challenge. It's all about learning from mistakes. I'm assuming in the past you probably never did that.
Yeah, it came from somewhere.
Right, exactly. Sometimes I go see a client and they're and on the IT side and they're like, the guy's like, oh, we've only got this budget. Can you do X, Y, and Z? And I'd in the past always be yes, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'd walk into the office and the guys would look at me and go, what have you done?
yeah.
So we do the same thing, like in regards to stay in your lane, stick your role, and also the relationship is important. It's not gonna if you're going through a whole creative process. If they're not bought in, I understand that.
Yeah. So as a result of only working with people we genuinely like, we've ended up working with some really incredible businesses. And looking back to it now with hindsight, we've found the people who really care about their businesses. So our clients tend to be founder led and they understand the value of, even though being really busy people with not enough hours in the day, maybe coming down to my beach hut in Whitstable and spending a day mapping out that customer journey. They understand the value of dedicating that time. And it's kind of necessary for my process. So they don't have a choice.
Yeah, well, you want them bought in, right? So I think they've got to make the time.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. I also think when we had Stalk It in the other day, and they were saying that it's very interesting when you look at the founder-led businesses that are they find as well that they're so more invested
Yeah.
into the process, into the customer journey, into how the business works. Even if you're growing, like, pizza programs, massively much bigger now, but they still have that feel. It's really interesting when you look at we work with multiple groups, as well as small ones and twos. I love the ones and twos; they're awesome. Some of the bigger groups are also still a bit founder led. It's so different. That corporate isn't there. That
Yeah.
corporate piece isn't there. So I think it's really nice that they're bought in, and then they go through your vetting process.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The exception to the rule actually being the real Greek, who I probably never would have worked with.
yeah,
I love Greek food. My parents spent 3 years on a boat in Greece, so I've visited them so much
yeah.
and have spent a lot of really amazing times in Greece. And I remember when the Real Greek first opened,
Yeah.
and we were queuing up, and oh, how would they have time?
No. I was just I always worry about that one. That camera always goes
Oh.
off. So I literally sometimes look up. We got plenty of time. It's maybe
I keep going off on
no.
that.
I love it. I love it.
But I remember as a journalist at the time thinking, oh, what's this cool place? And over the years, the Real Greek has kind of faded into the background.
Yes.
And Greek food has had such a moment recently. And there's no reason why the UK's biggest restaurant chain of Greek restaurants shouldn't be as exciting.
Yeah.
And it was actually Laura from Caravan who messaged me and said, you need to meet with my mate Marcel. He's taking over at the Real Greek. And I was like, Real Greek? Oh, okay. And actually meeting with Marcel and realizing that there are CEOs with a founder mindset. And I think he's an exception to a rule. And we just immediately clicked. And then we had the complex bit of getting it past the board at Pizza Pilgrims, because sitting on the board of one pizza business and working with someone who's also a CEO of Pizza Pilgrims,
Yes.
it's a little bit
Doesn't even think about that.
yeah. So we never talk about pizza. We don't mention the P word at all. And that has worked really well. But Marcel and Laura, who's been on your show as well, are just
She's a
super people.
I could listen to her talk. I can listen to you talk all day, but I can listen to her talk all day because she just makes sense. And I love the stuff that she comes out with. Just she goes, if you want to make a change, show me the figures. Show me the. I was like, don't. You could tell that she's a like the decision maker, a proper.
Yeah. And also she's an operator. She's
Yeah.
done it herself.
Yeah.
And she understands.
Yeah, completely.
She-
Yeah, and
she's amazing.
Yeah, she is just a machine. So interesting. It was so interesting. I'm remembering half the because I listened back all the time, and it was a really interesting conversation. But so where did it? So okay, so let's talk about the journey. How does it start? Right. So you start with the pub test.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you get and in hospitality is so incestuous, right? There's your 3 degrees of separation to anyone. So the benefit I think you probably have is that someone's sitting with someone in the pub basically going, you need to speak to them.
Yeah. These days, it's very rare that I get any leads that aren't already vouched for by somebody else.
Yeah.
And I've been quite vocal about our pub test sort of process and the fact that we don't work with just anyone. So some of that work tends to be done for me. But the next step in the journey is generally sitting down and having the founder conversation. And basically an interview like this one. Where did they all start? I want to understand what they wanted to achieve from the early days, where the journey has brought them. And quite often, actually, now that more and more people are going on podcasts and getting used to telling that story, 10 years ago, nobody was used to telling that story. And you form an immediate connection with your new clients because people in general just love being listened to. So to have someone there to listen and encourage
conversation.
yeah,
100%.
it was magic to capture. And now I wish I'd filmed them all.
Yeah, I
because-
was literally just thinking, why didn't you film it? You did just great series.
And actually, a lot of them I do have filmed because we do them on Zoom, so I can go back to the conversation. But I need to go back and ask everyone, do you mind if I put out some of these snippets? But then we weren't dressed for it, or with the camera right to the mics. I don't know, maybe not. But we have some really amazing founder stories, with Tom and James and Will and Hugh from Hawksmoor. Like all of these amazing stories. So we always do that to find out where
The origin.
the origin
story.
and also what do you care about? What are the real values of the business? Not necessarily the the company values
Yeah.
that are set in on down on a page that perhaps aren't what people live every day, but trying to get to what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning, and
Yeah.
what do the team
You basically
want?
were an early podcaster, weren't you, really,
Yeah,
to be honest with you?
yeah,
Because it is just a conversation. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we do that, and then the next step is always to get to know the customer.
Mm.
So we always start with a big survey, never multiple choice, always open text, and just finding out. I tweak the number of questions, but we generally keep it short. I have what I call my 3 magic questions that I ask every time,
Mhm.
and one of them is, "What do you like most about tonkotsu?" Say if it was tonkotsu. "What would you change if you were in charge?" That's a really good one. You get
So that goes out to every staff member?
no, this
What
is this is customers.
as customers?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Wow.
So what would you change is amazing for NPD.
Yeah.
Finding out what's missing
Yeah.
from the menu from the restaurant. What do your customers actually want?
That's amazing.
It's a game-changing question, that
Yeah.
one. And then my cheat question, which every marketing team should ask their customers all of the time because it fills your marketing calendar for the rest of the year, is if you want to go to tonkotsu for lunch,
Yeah.
your friend has never been, and you're not sure whether they'd be up for it, how do you sell it to them so that you get to go? And they basically do your job for you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's your marketing account strategy
Yeah.
plan. That's so clever. That's your
Um,
psychology though, right? That's the other side of the brain
yeah.
picking up those questions.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I love the what would you change? That's so interesting.
It's really good, and you get more ideas from that question than anything else. And
Yeah.
with those 3 questions, I could actually probably do my job with only those 3
Yeah.
questions. Sometimes I throw in some extras. But from that, you can build the brand messaging, you can build the brand
Yeah.
voice, you can start sketching out the new menu. But we like to go deeper. So
Yeah.
after the final question on any survey that we send out is always, we are doing some interviews with customers. Would you be willing to spend 15 minutes with our researcher online?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people volunteer for that.
Really?
I look at that thinking, there's not that many brands I would do that for.
Yeah. No.
But we always fill our calendar with interviews, and they give so generously
Yeah.
of their time. And this is without
Incredible.
any incentive. I avoid incentives because I don't want the freebie
Yeah.
hunters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are just normal punters who are happy to spend time.
Yeah.
And then we do role play, and I see how they use the menu, and I ask follow-up questions from what they said in the survey. And so we always go,
Just blowing my mind. Because some, yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
That is awesome. Especially people giving their time. That's their time.
yeah.
So they're invested into either liking the brand or not liking the brand, whatever it might be.
Yeah. And
That's
actually, it's interesting. So the majority of the people who say yes are very invested in the brand. Quite often, they are super fans who have niggling annoyances about something. So they actually want to change things
yeah,
for themselves. But then you get people who used to love a brand who don't anymore and might not have been in quite a long time.
yeah.
And they want to give up their time to basically
Why isn't it like this?
bitch
Like this?
about
Yeah,
why where it all
that's free as
went
well.
wrong. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so useful.
yeah. Gosh. So how many interviews do you normally do? Like,
So we usually do about 10 to 15.
yeah,
And we'll generally take what we can get. So if it's more, it's more. I
yeah,
set aside a few days to fill the calendar. And then when customers play ball, and the best ones do, Tonkotsu and the Real Greek both did this on our menu projects with them. We then host eat the menu sessions with
yeah,
customers, and we fill a whole table with all of the food and different types of customers. We try to always have some special diets people
yeah.
and different age groups, and locals and offices. And we just have a full out meal of eating the entire menu and chatting through every aspect of the restaurant,
And what these are all customers as well.
all customers as well. Yeah, those are really fun. And then we do team research, because
Yeah,
through your teams is where you get to the silent customers, the
yeah.
ones that are never going to leave a review because they're just normal, happy. Then they're not like
Yeah, so you got the
extensive or
Brit
they
thing.
don't.
You either got no review at all,
Yeah,
you've even got the 1 star with 0 nothing, you've got the 1 star with scathing, and then you've got maybe the higher ones with no comment as well. It's so interesting
yeah.
on the review side.
So we talk to the teams to figure out, what do your regulars think?
Yeah,
How do they act in the restaurants? How do they use the menus? What do you get the most complaints about? What would you change about the menu? The teams always have And it surprises me how many businesses don't know what annoys their teams.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name any names, but generally, the teams are the people who have to work with these menus day in and day out.
Yeah.
And they have to field all those annoying
Question. Yeah.
questions that, like, how big is the pizza? Or, what does that come with? And usually it's adding one or two words, and it makes such a big difference to the team that you've specified something, or
Yeah.
how many dumplings are in this,
Yeah. Absolutely.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we do customer surveys, interviews, eat the menu sessions, and then we talk to the teams. And also we want to make their life easier. We talk to back of house about how do the orders work? What's the dream ticket? What's the nightmare? We figured out when we worked on the caravan menus that the King's Cross restaurant has one wood-fired oven and loads of people are ordering flatbreads and pizzas, and there's a big sort of backlog.
Yeah.
So we needed to separate out the ticket, and getting the flatbread with dip kind of order in early is so that you're not
Yep.
sort of parking up the pizza. So all of that kind of stuff we get from the research piece. And then we look at the sales data,
Yeah.
figuring out where your best sellers, and also where there are opportunities to improve the margin and all of that kind of stuff. And then we take all of the research and put it into a big bowl of broth, and
Yeah.
and build our strategy from there.
For me, it's so interesting hearing all of this because we hear about menu geek, right? And you just think it's that, but it's so not. That's just a tiny piece of it, right?
The geeky stuff,
Yeah.
the applying of the science,
Yeah.
and the Chaldean inspired levers of persuasion, and then how you translate it in copy or design to create new menus. That's a tiny part of it at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
And you could probably take any of those techniques and improve any menu. But the real game changing new menus that the teams love, that the customers love, and that actually works towards your business goals,
Mhm.
they're the ones that are founded on the research. And
Yeah.
the research is huge. Our menu process is roughly 16 weeks, and the research and strategy part of that is 10 weeks.
Wow.
So it's bigger than
Yeah.
any other
So
part of the
interesting.
process.
You're right, absolutely. If you think about just changing menu, but that you're making them invested into it as well because you're making them more part of it and all part of the journey. And then obviously the founder piece. It's so interesting, and what you mentioned about the changing products slightly, adding stuff to things to help with the flow, speaking to the backup. It's just all really interesting. I had no idea. I've been to one of your menu things and I've seen the menus, but the whole process behind it is so involved.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And we know, and to be fair, you have a proven record, so we know it works.
We know it was
So yeah, who was the first menu you did?
Hacker.
Really?
The first proper one.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
That is almost 10 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
because
long
Oaxaca.
time.
So I was in Charlotte Street, as I mentioned, and Oaxaca was opposite,
Mm.
and that was probably that was my lunch most of the time to go into the.
Yeah.
Yeah, their menu was game changing. That was
Yeah.
It's probably about 10
And
years.
it was a lovely project to work on. It was our first project when we worked with those people who'd passed the pub test.
Yeah.
And Tommy was obsessed with the idea of everybody leaving the restaurant
Yeah.
happier than when they walked in. And they couldn't figure out why it was that 95% of their customers were super happy, but 5% of them weren't. And the research piece helped us figure out that it was the people who shared food and had a little bit of everything that were the happiest.
Yeah.
And the people who were expecting a 3-course meal and not being quite sure how to put it together, and sort of struggling with and ending up with more food than they needed, and too much of, like, a burrito is quite a big dish for
Yeah.
one person if you've already had some starters and stuff. So that was a real game changer, figuring out that customers didn't really know what to do with a menu and how
Yeah.
to put a meal together. So going from a menu that I should have brought that one along to show you, but
Yeah.
the menu before was really busy, had all these different sections, and there was no real flow.
Yeah.
And we created this really linear
Yeah.
flow.
I remember.
We put set menus in the middle
Yeah.
just to show what a meal
guide
could look like.
Yeah.
And it was a complete game changer. It really, their only KPI really was happier customers, and we were able to track the reviews and see that everyone
That's
was much
amazing.
happier.
I'll be honest. I would never have gone to a hacker to get a burrito. I know people that would go and order their burrito. I love the whole grabbing pieces.
Yeah.
It was just the best thing in the world. The sharing thing is just game changer.
Yeah. But some people will want a dish
Yes.
themselves. There are a lot of people who don't like sharing
Yeah.
food. And you will know, as you've been on the workshop, there's a concept of menu Siberia in the bottom left of a menu. That's where we hid the burritos. So
Yeah.
they're there for the people who want them, but you don't get people stumbling on them who
Yeah.
could be having a better experience eating a little
Yeah.
bit of everything.
I love that. Yeah, that's so it's awesome. Yeah, it's so interesting. All right, so I'm going to go on to I told you that the questions is more of like a guideline, but this is really interesting to be fair. So okay, so they've gone through 13 weeks. Did you say
16 weeks.
weeks, and then 2 of the weeks is the what was it? The last 2 weeks is the menu piece.
So we do this the strategy
Yeah.
where I basically put together a long list of all the opportunities
Yeah.
that we could be making use of. But I then also challenge the teams to decide, okay, which are going to be our big ones. Because if everyone did all of the things that could be done, you would end up with a menu that tried to do too much. So we try to pick sort of 2 or 3 key goals.
Yeah.
Like this is what we're going to pin it on. And then once we've had that conversation, I go away and I sketch out 3 versions
Yeah.
of how that might look like. So I always do a sort of evolution of the current menu, and then I do a sensible new direction.
Yeah.
And then I do a wild card.
Yeah.
And no one ever goes for the wild card.
Oh,
But
man.
I often end up in a sort of halfway house
Yeah.
between the sensible and
Yeah,
the
well, the
wild
3
card.
options is always important. Everyone always says you got to have 3 choices, right? And
Yeah.
at least you can fuse and merge from there.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest wild card you've done? I'm just my brain's going.
Well, with Caravan, I actually wanted to ditch the menu in favor of a magazine.
Oh, that's cool.
So we've seen menu zines before. Greyhound Cafe around the corner from
Yeah.
here
Yeah,
has
there are
that.
client of ours. Their menu is crazy.
Yeah,
It's a proper magazine.
I love
Yeah.
that menu.
Yeah.
With Caravan, I saw it more like a sort of newspaper travel
Yeah.
supplement type thing. So like on newsprint,
Yeah.
really telling the stories of the dishes, and because their menu, they call it well traveled.
Yeah.
It's ingredients from all over the world. We wanted to turn it into a sort of travel feature.
Yeah.
But we decided to go with a simpler menu, but I believe they're working on a sort of travel magazine
Love-
type marketing
Yeah.
thing on the side.
I love that. That's so clever. Yeah, so Greyhound is we were there when they opened. It's just, I mean, they've got like 30 in Thailand, in like Bangkok and stuff. And I think the owns a fashion, it originally owns fashion, so it's all inspired from there. But their menu is crazy. Like it's a proper like some you see some menus you go into and there's like 50 and 20 pages, and you're like, oh, theirs is all story.
Yeah,
There is
but it's a double
thick.
cake spread on one day.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so
Yeah.
it's actually I never walk through the door of a restaurant without asking to take a menu with me, and that is the first restaurant that has said no.
Okay.
Because when they first opened, they had issues with people stealing the menu.
Really?
They were too attractive.
Yeah, they were.
And they said, we'd love to give you one, but we don't have enough.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think for them, one of my favorite desserts is called Happy Toast.
Okay.
And then
The
you,
Happy
you
Toast.
you have the brioche toast with the 3 different, and you can squirt like the kind of condensed milk or it's just so clever. Some of the yeah, and it's a shame that there's still only one.
No?
You know, they could have there might be more, but it's a great site they took. Yeah, they're a great bunch, and we were there when they built it. It was crazy, but very cool. Like they all came over, basically built it, and then the team left, and then they left the guys to run it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, great brand.
I think it's my favorite menu. I love it. I think it's beautiful. That what they've invested in photography and
Yeah.
making it look kind of like an issue of Kinfolk magazine or
Mm.
something like that.
It's unbelievable. I'm totally with you. I actually need to go back there. The food is just game changing. Okay, so let's tee on to so you've recently just worked with these two.
Yeah, so these are my two latest
Yep.
menus. The Real Greek and tonkotsu.
I can attest to the real Greek.
Yeah.
Because we went last week, and I was actually asking the manager who Andreas, who is Greek as well, which was very nice to have, to be honest. And all the guys were like, "I'm gonna have this," and I was like, "What do you recommend?" And he was like, "You're gonna have this," and I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Trust me," and it was. The guy, all the team was saying the word banging came out about 6 or 7 times. Banging! Oh my god, that's banging! That's banging!
Amazing.
So
I love that.
it was. I've not been ever to that real Greek. I don't know. I don't think I've been to the Real Greek for probably more than 10 years or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, I hadn't either. And we've been eating in the Real Greek. Laura and I have had weekly lunches for a year where we have been obsessing over the Greek salad and tzatziki.
Oh, no, their Greek
Certain
salad is. I have to say again, it was. The guys were all like, "It's the best Greek salad they have ever had."
I'm glad
It
because
was.
we really obsessed over it.
It was so even the green, because Laura was like the green tomatoes, which I don't really see anywhere. To be fair, it was just everything that it was just done so well. So
Brilliant.
from the menu change, I was shocked, to be honest. And I gave him a go. I left going, "I'm a Google local guide. I'm going to give you a crazy review." He's like, "Oh, they're gonna look." So it was yeah, and I loved the top left. I mean, it was just that little piece with that just it hit my eyes. It's the first thing I saw, right?
Yeah.
Your eyes always go to the top left anyway, right? That's just the default, or even maybe I don't remember now. But I mean, it is just it's so simple.
Yeah.
And having a standard menu without having that in is a challenge, because sometimes you see a flat menu and there's so much there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, the reason why I brought the two menus in was to illustrate why I think it's so important to do that customer research.
yeah,
And also how obviously I have those menu engineering tools in my toolkit.
yeah,
And if I applied all of the same tools to every menu, they would all look the
yeah,
same. Whereas I wanted to show how we can apply very similar tools, but make the menus feel really on brand and really different.
yeah,
So, and it all comes down to the objectives.
yeah,
And at the Real Greek, we knew that we wanted to hero the grill and
yeah,
bring people back to that beachside taverna where you
mm,
can smell the charcoal and the cooking of the prawns. And so we created this sort of big
yeah.
section in the middle, um, where
It's
we
your hero
really
section.
hero
Yeah,
the grill. And so it's like, let's draw the eye in there first so that they know that's where the action is at. And then you choose all of the other things
yeah,
around it. And we also discovered through the customer research that the Real Greek has always had these, not always, not in the very first iteration,
yeah,
but since it became a chain,
yes.
they've served the food on these. And my friends have been saying to me, "Oh, the Real Greek, is that the one with the tea tray?" So in the intake, we see it as an afternoon tea thing. And in Greece, they actually use these a
Yeah,
lot just to make more room on the table. They overeat in Greece.
yeah,
There's always so many dishes. And when Marcel started in the business and when I started and when Laura started, each of us individually at the beginning we're like, okay, we had to get rid of the tea trays.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then the more we talked to customers, we realized that they absolutely loved them.
yeah,
And then we thought, okay, we need to make a feature of it.
yeah,
And so similar to what we did with Oaxaca in terms of guiding that perfect experience, this really is it. It's
yeah,
sort of, you pick your cold meze dip, you pick you get a bread, you pick a grill, and you
yeah,
pick a salad or a side. That's how you build a meal. So
yeah.
it's both our amazing value set meal,
And they use a
and
keyword as well for your menu.
yeah, and it's also
Yeah.
a a guide to how to put a meal
Put together.
together.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get them in the set menu as well. Well, you get them in that fixed amount as well, because it looks so inviting.
Yeah.
I mean, we must have seen about 15 of them walking past us, because I was right next to the kitchen. And it just sparks your mind as well. Because you're right about the afternoon tea.
Yeah.
You just want to think about, oh, it's having afternoon tea in a Greek restaurant. But yeah, it is really interesting. So you're now looking at a kitschy, cool Greek style concept, and then you've got tonkotsu, which is a very
Tonkotsu, very different. And I actually brought the before and after of the tonkotsu. So this is what the tonkotsu menu used to look like. It was, that they've always had really interesting graphics and like they're a cool brand.
yeah,
But it's a bit of a wall of text.
yeah.
And beyond picking your bowl of ramen,
It reminds me of the old school when you used to tick and give.
yeah,
That reminded me of
yeah,
tick tick.
it's probably what inspired
Yeah,
this iteration of the
yeah,
menu. But we also knew that one of the main objectives as a business was to drive the spend per head.
yeah,
We all need to do that now. And we wanted to do it with more orders of sides,
yeah.
which just weren't happening. So when we came to recreate the tonkotsu menu, we actually included photographs of
Yeah,
all
the
of the
photos do it,
sides.
don't they? The photos do it. If you go into any of the takeaways and stuff you see,
Yeah.
the photos do it all the time. They really do. It's just like it's a massive psychological trigger of seeing stuff and going, I want that.
I always have to have a battle though with
Yeah.
photos because, and I blame Wimpy for this because
Yeah, good.
there is the strongly held idea that photographs of a menu
Yeah.
sort of means that it's cheap in
Yeah.
a way. I particularly had a battle with the board at Rosa's Thai when we worked on their menus and we included photos there. Right up until print day,
Yeah.
we had 2 versions of the menu, one with pictures and one without, and luckily,
Yeah.
they went with the pictures.
Yeah, I was there. I got my birthday email from Rose's Ties.
So awesome, yeah, not
Last
free
week.
pad
Yeah,
time.
my free pad thai was awesome. So thank you very much for that. But and the photos, you're right. And it's weird. I think this, but it's proven research. They're having photos even on a even cheapo takeaway menu board
Yeah.
will upsell anything, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
And you can really use so whether you use photography or whether you use illustrations,
Yeah.
which are perhaps a bit more delicate, you can really use them strategically. So we knew we wanted to sell more sides. So we actually decided not to call them sides.
Yeah.
There used to be a heading that said on the side.
yeah,
We just ditched that and we've spread them sort of at the top and down
yeah,
through so that they can be both sides and starters or whatever people want them to be. But we pictured all of them.
yeah,
And another way to increase spend per head is obviously to get people to order a drink that isn't water.
yeah,
So something that I always recommend, you should do this too, is have a house drink
yeah.
that is nicer than a soft drink in a can,
Yep.
but it's something that is ownable by you.
Peach tea.
Uh,
Sorry, we all had like doubles.
Yeah, it's delicious, isn't it? So we have here at Tonkotsu. There's 2. There's a ginger and there's also a yuzu
Yeah.
soda, and we strategically put a picture of that because we want to put that idea of a drink that isn't water
Yeah.
into people's head.
You're basically hypnotizing people.
Yeah,
With your menu. That's what we're doing. Because literally the red, eat the bits with the. I mean, literally, you're guiding me to the cocktails straight away. You're guiding me to even down to the bottom up to the end.
Yeah,
The whole thing.
take the jar,
Yeah,
the bits with you.
you're completely guiding me through this. It's psychologically killing me because even here, you exactly know where my eyes are going. Literally, I feel like you're hypnotizing people with the menu. It is so interesting.
It is what we do.
Yeah,
And it works really well. The guys at Lucky Sains like me because
Yeah.
we managed to really up the orders of Lucky Sains just by having the picture there.
just that's crazy. Pictures, but in a nice way, right? So it's not the wimpy way. Where I live, there is still a wimpy that's been there for 30 years, and my nephew was in there the other day with this menu like this. Because it's still a huge menu, and he was just confused. He was like, "I thought it was a burger place." I spoke to him afterwards. Like, "What do you eat?" He goes, "It took me half an hour to figure out what to have." So, but it's still there, and it's a staple. But yeah, I think the photo illustrations is massive. I mean, the Pilgrims menu is crazy.
Loads of illustrations.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so interesting. You are literally hypnotizing people. It's like a hypnosis in there. The subliminal messages on the menus are so clever.
Yeah.
It's so clever. Yeah. Okay, you're killing me. Okay, so we probably zipped through loads of stuff here, but then there's interesting. We've talked about this already. I think that's to be fair. I think we're going to go towards the future. So, what do you see next? I mean, because some of our clients are like, oh, I want an e-ink style menu. I want to be able to automatically push. Like one of our clients was like, we want to put a little e-ink, like Kindle style device on the table with like little reminders of upsells and stuff like that. Or they could maybe order, but then it could, have a little that interaction piece so that you've done this and then it knows what's coming.
Yeah.
There's one I think in the Netherlands that has this. It's not as pretty, but it's a slightly bigger one that sits on there where you can zip through the menu, you can do stuff, and they do some fun stuff with it.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a McDonald's screen, but on your table.
It looks like the menu karaoke thing, not karaoke thing, a jukebox thing.
Oh, right.
It's like rounded, it's there, it looks cute, but it's got the screen on it, so you can sort of, rather than the giant McDonald's thing, it's this little tableside device,
Oh, I like the sound
which
of that.
is really clever. So I
'Cause
think
the one thing, well, apart from the fact that I'm a stationery freak and I love print in all sorts
Yeah.
of, I have to admit that digital is the future.
Yeah.
And what you can do with digital menus is incredible. Like we work with the guys on StoreKit on the new Peter Pilgrim's menu at Brig Lane, in our pilot site, and it's incredible what you can do. And I can see that we have to go in that direction, but also I hate the fact that you end up sitting at a table with your phone.
Yeah.
A restaurant experience to me is
Yeah.
quality time spent with your friends. And
Agree.
I know you can put your phone away, but the fact that it's there
Yeah.
at the beginning of the meal kind of sets.
I was out with on Saturday at my local Italian, love it, with some friends, and a friend of mine was sitting opposite me, and I went, "Are we in the room?" And they put the phone upright, and I said, "Just to let you know, because we're friends, we can talk like this." I said, "We are no longer the most important person in the room." And they went, "What do you mean?" I said, "Your phone is the most important person in the room." So they turn upside down. I said, "Turning your phone upside down doesn't make a difference."
No.
What about my kids? I said, "It's on vibrate, right?" "Yeah." "Okay, put it by your bum and take it off the table." I was having banter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like, "Hmm?" They had the most fun on the conversation ever, because if there was a buzz, it'd be like the kids, babysitter, whatever, and so on, which is fine. And then the phone went down. So I've made like an effort over I mean, I work like I have my company. I'm always switched on, consistently, always on. I have a watch, so the watch can be that piece. But now, if I'm at anywhere, this will basically go sit under my bum, or go sit on the table,
We can eat
and we can eat together, right? And you can be present and be in the room, because this is the nice piece of having that. So it was really interesting, and my other friends were like, "Oh my god, you're so right." I think everyone nearly ended up just putting their phone, just not even near them. They would just put it there, and if it buzzes, they'll get it. If they need to, if it rings, they'll get it if they need to. And it's the psychological piece of, you're not the most important person in the room.
Yeah.
So
That's a really nice way to put it.
yeah.
So yeah, I understand that digital menus are the future, and I think what people like StoreKit are doing is amazing,
Yeah.
and it can really help bring the menu to life, video storytelling,
The
all
video
of that
stuff is
stuff.
awesome.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. But I like the idea of there being
Yeah.
a device, and I also think that the future, as the whole world becomes more and more digitalized and AI, like I feel like I have conversations about AI the whole time. I feel like hospitality is possibly the last bastion of humanity, like
Yeah.
somewhere that you can always go.
You know what the thing is? I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he said, and I went to the Bowtree Hotel, and I had a meal in Lavo, beautiful food. And it was very interesting, because a lot of high-end restaurants won't have the QR, but they have the QR there. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's in tech as well, and he's like, it's really important, giving that customer the choice. And I was talking to another friend of mine whose kids, non-verbal, autistic, beautiful, lovely kid, awesome. And he goes out, he's older now, he'll go out with his friends. But he will specifically look online for a restaurant that has on and ordering available on
So
Google.
he doesn't.
So he doesn't have to worry about the anxiety piece isn't there. He's non-verbal. He's still like, will communicate, right, as he needs to. He's great friends, which is really nice, or with the family, and it's important. So and other people I know as well, that their kids would rather just not talk to anyone, go in, order and done, which is really interesting. So I think if you can make that more fun,
Yeah.
which I mean, what Pilgrims are doing with theirs, and I mean, even StoreKit's platform is pretty cool. Like it's very much your brand anyway, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So
And what they've done for Bao.
yeah, that is crazy. That augmented stuff is just So clever.
Yeah.
I was with them the other day. I was like, show it to me again. So it's easier because you could, but again, give the customer a choice. So you can give them the thing. They can tap it or scan it if they want to. I think the customer choice is important. But wouldn't it be cool not to let your phone and have that little e-ink? Because if you're in a bright tablet, I think it's just too much.
Yeah.
But you could do some really cool like drawing and storytelling. As you swipe to the menu, it draws across, and I mean, there's so much cool stuff you could do with that.
You need to
So,
tell me who makes these.
it was just a standard Android tablet, isn't it? But theoretically, anything could be built with it if you think about it. It's just the way it's been designed. So an Android app running on like you wouldn't put it on one of the beautiful like notepaddy ones, but
Yeah.
there are lots of e-ink style tablets out there, more and more, and the prices are coming down. So I think the client I was speaking to ages ago, and that project disappeared, but they were like, I want an e-ink style tablet on the table. I want push notifications to it when after their meal, after the first course or after the starters, with little reminders, little pushes here and there. Do you know what I mean?
That's
Or if the person checks in and the rest of them aren't there, this little beautiful thingy here on the side
Yeah.
says your friends have just arrived. That maitre d' piece.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist, but it was a really interesting conversation because they were talking, and I spoke to Stalky about. They were like, "That's a really good idea." And we do the Wi-Fi so that if someone connects and they've walked in and they're on the Wi-Fi, it pushes it and saying,
Yeah.
Annica's just arrived.
Very
Just
clever. I
that
like the
little
sound of
piece is
that.
just it could be so interesting. And with the design of what you do, could you imagine you could do this whole like wizardy storytelling thing
Yeah.
as you swipe through and look through? So I think
And also something to do if you find yourself waiting for your friend.
exactly, and or even if your menu, if the food's a bit longer,
Yeah.
then it will know how long your food's going to be. It has potential integration into the till system, and then it pops
Games
up,
for kids.
yeah, or even
Look
just
at
a
them.
pop quiz,
Yeah.
win it or spin the wheel, like
Yeah.
do that, gamify. You could gamify it. So yeah, we could talk forever. But yeah, I agree. I think the future of menus is very interesting. Like, there used to be a club years ago in Soho, and they'd have iPads in the table. So that when you got there, it knew who you were. So as you sat down, you'd press the button on your phone, and then it would transfer it to the iPad, and then you just order what you want, and it was like that private memory thing.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, moving forward, there's so much more. Okay, so top tips. This will be quite interesting, actually. So on the journey, right? What's your? I have been to the courses as well, so there are some awesome tips in your courses too. I don't want you to give the world, but two things that you recommend just to start their journey.
Always put a drink suggestion towards the top of the food side of your menu.
Yeah.
So on the Real Greek menu, we have a full drinks menu on the back, but there's a curated amount of just a handful of drinks at the top. So we've got the Greek iced tea,
Yeah.
which you enjoy.
It was amazing.
Always having something that's non-alcoholic, because I think a lot of operators still think in booze because that's always
Yep.
been the way, but actually having something right at the top for people who don't want to drink for whatever reason. And then a sort of very light, approachable drink like the Greek sangria that we've created for the Real Greek, for example. Always having something on the food side so the
Yeah.
people who don't flip the menu
Yeah.
can get something.
I quite like you do tonkotsu because it's all of it, the food and the drink.
Yeah.
There, which is rare because you normally have
Yeah.
to
I
go
love
to
a
the.
good full menu. You
have to
open it
go-
up, it's
It's everything.
just there.
Yeah, I really like that because my wife will be like, "Where's or what drinks or what wine or whatever," and so on. Unless you're going to some fancy and you want the big wine list.
Yeah.
But that's really nice to see it all there.
All together.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easier to make a quick choice of what
Yeah.
you're going to have.
Yeah, you've sorted yourself out. So
true.
okay, so
And then the second piece of advice is use your menu Siberia wisely. So the bottom left corner, no matter whether you have a landscape or a portrait menu, the bottom left-hand corner is the last place that will get any eyeballs from your customers. So you might as well use it for something that you're not looking to push. So at the Real Greek, the souvlaki wraps are delicious,
yeah,
but we're trying to hero the grills and the skewers.
Yeah.
So we know that customers will order the souvlaki wraps whatever happens.
yeah.
So we might as well
Yeah, they did last week.
we might as well hide them
Yeah.
in menu Siberia where we know they'll get sold anyway.
Yeah.
And you're not giving up that space. If there's not a food item on your menu that you want to push less, like the burritos at Oaxaca or the wraps at the Real Greek, put your QR codes for allergens and
Yeah.
the things that the people who need it
Yeah.
will go and seek it out. They will
They will
seek
find
it
out.
out.
Yeah. So they found the Slovakies, two of them.
Yeah.
And it lost me completely. The Siberia, I couldn't even see it. It didn't exist until they mentioned. When they mentioned it, my eyes went down to the corner.
Yeah.
But until they mentioned it, I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah.
I was too involved in everything else.
And I think the number one mistake that a lot of independents make,
Yeah.
particularly I would say pubs with dining, the traditional way to organize a menu is sort of starters, main courses, desserts, and then usually they'll put their sides in the bottom left
Yeah.
corner because
Siberia.
it makes the whole thing balance better.
Yeah.
But even swapping around and putting the sides on the right-hand side, you will see the uptake on sides.
And what's the story with the reds and the coloring in those squares?
It just helps draw the eye out.
I literally, yeah, really
Yeah.
does.
So it's all about breaking
Yeah.
the scan. People are inundated with information these
Now,
days.
especially now. Yeah.
And we deal a lot with customers telling us they get overwhelmed with menus. So we always try to compartmentalize a bit so that they're not hit with a block of text like
Yeah.
this, for example.
Yeah.
So that there's a little bit of breathing space and relief and sort of little bits of interest. Oh, what's this little illustration? Or
Yeah.
why is this thing much darker than
Yeah.
everything else? So yeah, that's where that comes from.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking about something else, and then I think it's amazing. I think it's so interesting to look at. Yeah, the question that was coming to my mind: who does who once you've created the design, do you have, like, is there the guy that makes the design and
The actual graphic design?
yeah, like,
I have an army.
where do you keep them? Like in a cupboard in a room when no one else is allowed to use them, and then the minions come out and start creating.
But we don't have one at Two Forks because I like sketching. So
Yes.
I do all of the drawings of what the menu might look like to form the brief for the
Yes.
designer. A lot of restaurant groups will have someone in-house,
Yeah.
but we also have an army of freelancers that
Amazing.
we call on. So there's Dave, who's done the Pizza Pilgrims menu, is amazing. He does a lot of work with the Shoom as well. He's always too busy. We can never get hold of him. Tom, who did the tonkotsu menu, is amazing. There's an agency called Ann Smith who we work with on the Shoom menu. They are amazing. They did the caravan menu with us as
Yeah.
well.
So you've got your nice.
We got our nice
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Some guys down in Brighton called Good Noise. They're really amazing. Yeah, the most designers actually don't like menu work because it's so pernickety.
It's boring. Some of it's boring, but some of it's boring. Like old style menu work is boring, right? Sure, this is more fun when it's.
It's more fun when it's the creative
Yeah.
side of things, but generally you would use the same designer to conceptualize and set it in on the page.
Yeah.
But then also there is a lot of proofing and changes. And can you change this price? And can we have a vegan symbol on this?
Yeah.
And that stuff they hate. So
Yeah.
when you work with a bigger agency like Ann Smith, for example, they will have people who do the
That's their
fancy
back.
stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you're right. There are things where it's like that'll go to there,
Yeah.
and then the changes will go to here. They go through the process. I'm with you.
Whereas a one-man band like Tom who did the tonkotsu menu, he has to do all of that himself.
Yeah.
And he's got the patience of a saint, bless him, because there's always a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always outsourced either to someone in-house or to some kind of freelancer.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you so much. This has been. I'm going to give you that. There you go. You get the round of applause. We're going to hit to the final questions.
Okay.
So the final questions are best restaurant, which is a tricky one, to be fair.
That is like picking favorites among your children. I had some warning of this question, so I'm actually gonna pick the one restaurant. If you told me I can take you anywhere right now,
Yeah.
I would go to a restaurant on a beach on an island called Koh Samet in Thailand.
Yeah.
Which I don't even really know what it's called because they only have a Thai sign.
Yeah.
And I've shown the sign to my Thai friends, and I think it's called the Nodding Head.
I love that.
But I think it's called the Nodding Head because of head banging.
Yeah.
And they play really loud rock music, which I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
And you sit on plastic chairs
Yeah.
on the sand with your feet in the sand, to a soundtrack of rock and metal, and they serve you these amazing whole grilled fish and prawns and crab, spicy salad, big old barbecue. It's just my dream restaurant.
Yeah.
And I would go back there in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Thailand's my favorite place.
Mine too.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, me too. We used to go there. I used to go there every other year, and there was by the hotel there was a beach, by the beach, and you'd have Mr. Udi's, and he'd be like, buy five, get two. It was completely wrong. I was like, but we loved it. But you'd go there, and this giant barbecue was just cooking like snapper and so on.
Yeah.
And then they built some condos, and then the government came and took them all off the beach.
Oh, well, this
The next beach along is fine, but it's I love it there. The whole ethos, the smart. It's the land of smiles, right?
Thailand has changed me as a person. We've been going for a month every year for the last 15 years,
Really?
and it's just the most uplifting. They don't worry about stuff.
No.
They have this saying, "Mai pen rai," which just means like it is what it is.
Yeah.
And everyone just smiles and gets on with it,
Yeah.
and they're just happy. And I'm a much happier person since I've
I'll be honest
started
with
going
you.
there.
And say I love it. It's we went there years ago. My brother-in-law very much likes the American style complaining and getting your ex and complaining. I explained to him, and
That doesn't get down.
your normal, this isn't working, or my wife is upset. You just need to be calm. And he's a solicitor, so he's all very down the line. And I walk past the reception, he's like, "Wah!" And they're just slowly stepping back and bowing their head and stepping back and stepping back. And then she was at the end like that. And he's like, he left, he goes, I just don't know what's going on. And I said to him, I'll sort it out for you, don't worry. I went up and had the conversation, and they were like, oh, okay. And that was it. And then I'm really sorry about him. He's not used to it. And it was really funny. It was a very complete culture shock going from American style hotels to there. But yeah, yeah. My kid works now, and she's a hairdresser, so we normally go in December. And now she's working in December, so I have to wait a little bit.
Oh no!
To go back, so I haven't gone. But I think next year, hopefully, we can go back. But it really is. It makes me happy.
Yeah,
just being there.
And also the best food in the world. And they have pictures on all the menus.
Yeah, everywhere. Absolutely. Even in the nicer restaurants, they had pictures. Okay, amazing. One more round of applause for you. Okay, sorry. No, there's more. Sorry. Best burger.
Best burger has got to be the cheeseburger at Bleecker Burger. Because, well, not just because they have really, really good meat and they cook it properly, but importantly for me, the cheese has to be the cheap American cheese.
Yeah.
And I like
the cheese though. They pull it around the grease and they slide it on top of the burger, right?
Oh, I've not noticed
so if you ever look on the videos, it gets picked and then swoops around and then gets eyes on top.
Extra juice.
It's a game changer.
And also, my burger bun needs sesame seeds.
Yeah.
Don't give me this brioche nonsense.
Well, I think Soho's opening this week, so I think you have to try that one out. Fries, angry fries.
No, plain fries for me.
Nice. Best hotel.
Another Asian one. It's called Bonton Resort. It's in Langkawi in Malaysia, and it's just incredible. They have either 6 or 8 rooms. They're all fisherman huts from all around Malaysia that have been dismantled and rebuilt. It's very near the airport in Langkawi. It's not a very glamorous location. It's like on this sort of swampy place all by itself. But these little teak huts are arranged around a pool, and as soon as you get there, you realize that it's not your usual hotel experience. So the staff are all wandering around in flip-flops and shorts, and they say, so we do things a little bit differently here. We don't like to get up early in the morning, so there is no breakfast restaurant. We've put a fridge in your room with some breakfast in it. Help yourself. Do your own thing. We'll see you at 11. So you have this beautiful old fisherman's huts that they've filled. Norel, the founder, has a passion for art and textiles, and she's traveled all over Asia and bought these beautiful silks and things. The rooms are just exquisite. Super simple, but beautiful thing. And so you wake up in this big 4-poster bed with mosquito netting. There's I think there might be aircon, but it's generally just sort of fans. And then you go to your little fridge and you find whatever treasure they left you for breakfast, and you stay in bed all morning. And then everyone eventually meets by the pool.
Yeah.
And there's only enough sun loungers for the people who stay there. And they come out with little treats. So it starts at about 11. They come out with fruit.
Yeah.
And then they come out with little satay sticks. And they just feed you all day by the pool.
That sounds like my place to be.
And then they have this incredible restaurant that's only open for lunch and dinner. And it's so good that people from all over the island come to visit. So you never have to leave the resort. Every day, new people come in that you can eat with and have a restaurant experience. But you're the only one that gets to stay in this amazing place.
So clever. How did you find it? I was just
I used to always go on TripAdvisor and tick that box called unusual places to stay. They hide it at the bottom.
Yeah.
I found it on there.
In Siberia, right?
Yeah, it is in Siberia. I found it on there and I booked it. And then I only found out because the receptionist recognized my name, and it turns out my sister-in-law is best friends with the owner.
That's ridiculous.
So we ended up she then figured out who we were and she invited us in. She's Australian. She lives in Langkawi, and she's got this Australian wine cave at the hotel. And her and her wife invited me and my husband to sit with them inside the air-conditioned wine cellar.
Yeah.
And we had so much Aussie wine and just gossiped and chatted till the early hours. And we've been back there so many times since. And it's a really, really special
experience. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 questions for the next guest.
Almost forgot about this. So I have to ask, obviously, about menus. So what's the coolest, most unusual menu you've come across?
Okay, I love that.
That'd be one. And then I thought, because everyone is struggling a little bit, and I've actually forgotten who you said is coming. Oh, it was the pub.
Oh, don't tell anyone. It's a secret.
Okay.
I didn't tell her. I promise.
I did actually write this question before. I didn't hear who was coming. But is there a missed opportunity that operators could perhaps dive into? So, something that you can add to your customer experience just to get a few more people through the door, perhaps ignite a day part. Like, why aren't we busier between 3 and 6 p.m.? What could we do? What are the missed
witching hour?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, well, I'm going to give you another one of these. So everyone can hear that. Thank you so much for coming. We can give everyone a wave goodbye.
Thanks for having me.
Very much. Oh, it's so interesting. So interesting. Like the amount of time that one. See, this bad boy went off. But this is fine. That's still going. And that one worked.